Imagine, if you will, that you are driving your car. Driving down the road, yeah, it's that cold November morning, so your side windows, they're both frosted up, and even your windshield's a little bit foggy, not properly scraping off all the frost. But you're driving forward. You've been down this road before, but you don't have an actual destination in mind. Not only that, you don't have your phone with you. There's no Waze, there's no Google Maps. You look to your side, you don't even have your side mirrors. Wait a second, look up, your rear view mirror's not even there. You're just driving forward. I don't know about you, but that does not sound like the best way to drive. But for some reason, that's actually how a lot of, if not even the majority of businesses are driving their business forward today. I'm not just talking about some brand new business that opened less than 2 years ago. I mean businesses that have been around for more than 2 years, 4 years, 8 years, 12 years. And they're driving without a destination, without a navigation system, without the mirrors to check from what's coming behind them so they can guide themselves better towards that destination. I don't know about you, but I'd be a little bit hesitant stepping on the gas and moving it forward any faster. I'd be a little cautious or not even want to try to change lanes. So, how are these businesses not crashing if this is how they're operating? And here's why: because the person driving it, they know that car inside and out. They know it better than anybody. They're good at driving that car and keeping it moving forward, even without a clear destination in mind. But here's where the real problem happens. What happens when that person wants to stop driving? When they want to let somebody else take the wheel? Or maybe even they want to get out of the car altogether? Well, that's where the crashes happen. When we don't have those mirrors to reflect on what's happened, when we don't have that navigation system built that's guiding us towards a clear destination, that's where I know that's where we get into trouble when we're driving, but that's where businesses really get into trouble. And that's what I'm trying to help fix. That's what the systems and tools that I've built to help businesses are all about. Now, the question I was asking today is why act now? Why now? Well, because it's budget season. It's almost 2025. It's that time of year where businesses should be setting a clear plan of action, a budget for what they want to accomplish in the new year, a budget with a plan attached to it. Now, again, it is important to make these changes now. Why get help from somebody like myself now? Well, I'm going to first leverage the advice of a leadership expert, somebody much more acclaimed than I, Peter Drucker. If you don't know who Peter Drucker is, one, you should, but B, he's the father of modern management. He coined the term knowledge workers. He invented the concept of management by objectives. He's written countlessly and consulted and advised people since the 1950s. He's gone now, but our current senior leadership experts, they're still leveraging a lot of the ideas founded by Peter Drucker. And on this subject, I couldn't agree more with Mr. Drucker. If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. And yeah, what do I do when I come into a business? I'm going to do a lot more than planning, because we shouldn't just be creating these giant strategic plans that aren't actionable. But the reality is we still need to do a little planning in order to avoid failure. We need to create that destination. We need to make sure that we're using our mirrors properly. We need to make the map to help the business navigate itself towards success, towards a progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And to do that, when I consult with a business, the first thing I do is go in to understand the current situation. I'm going to build a comprehensive business operations assessment. Now, how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to start with getting the team to do their own assessment of the operating systems that they have in place for their planning, their processes, and their performance metrics as they affect the people, the product, and profit in the business. I'm then going to interview the leaders in the business, whether that's one leader or 5 senior leaders. If the business does have somebody responsible for sales and marketing, somebody else in a director or vice president of operations role, and if somebody's in charge of technology or finance, I'm going to interview the leaders in the business to see if there is that alignment of leadership and maybe get a bit more clarity on their assessment of the operating system that the business is currently using. And then I'm actually going to go look. I'm going to go sit with people and see how they're doing their work. I'm going to look at their documentation of whatever processes they have. I'm going to look at whatever previous planning has been attempted. And I'm definitely going to look at the performance reporting, including and extensively the financial performance reporting of the business, so that I can truly understand how the business is generating revenue and where the costs are going, because cost control is key, so that we can then work towards trying to create a budget. Now, that annual review process, that thing that happens in budget season, is more than just taking the financial statements from your accountant or your bookkeeper, from the P&L, and then extending it forward. No, a good budget is aligned with real actionable goals. The good budget is aligned with the operations that generate the revenue, that the costs have a true understanding of alignment with what the activities are in the business. In other words, we're going to build a budget from the bottom up. Well, what do I mean from the bottom up? Well, let's take revenue, for example. We're going to understand exactly how the revenue is generated. Most businesses, or nearly all businesses, the calculation for revenue is actually pretty straightforward. We're going to look at the number of customers that you currently have and who those customers are. And we're going to look at the number of transactions that they make with the business in a given period of time. And then we're going to look at the average amount of those transactions. That's going to help us determine the revenue of the business. To help us understand how many customers we have, we're going to look at ultimately the function that generates the number of customers we have, the number of leads that we get and where we get those leads. And we're going to look at our ability to convert those leads into customers who are utilizing our product or our services to create that revenue. And then we're going to do the same thing for the costs. We're going to look at those customer acquisition costs, how much it's costing us to generate the leads. We're going to look at our customer churn, on how many customers we have to keep replacing with new customers because of customers that don't come back. We're going to do the same thing and understand how many employees are in the business, what's our attrition, and what are the costs of that employee attrition in training and recruiting. What are our wages or financial incentives? What kind of productivity are we getting out of our people in the business? And then we'll look at, of course, all of the overhead costs and other costs associated with the business that create that the expenses within it, including the materials and inventory, so that we can create a budget from the bottom up, so that we have a better understanding of what's actually happening in the business, to create a budget that we can then review. In fact, a budget that we hopefully can predict, because we're going to turn that into an operations dashboard. We're going to make sure that we have the right KPIs identified that help us predict the P&L, that predict the revenue and the expenses in the business. And we're going to make sure that that dashboard has been properly aligned with the responsibilities for each role in the organization. We're going to clearly define the roles within the organization, the responsibilities, and create that alignment of the KPIs, the key performance indicators that are aligned to help us predict the profitability of the business. And then we're going to use this performance dashboard and make it part of a regular recurring leadership review. We're going to establish a cadence of weekly business reviews, and I'm going to help navigate those weekly business reviews to make sure they stay on track and are using the data, using the information from those KPIs that are aligned with the profitability of the business each week to identify issues in the business and where attention might need to be paid. We're going to do a monthly business review when we get those financial statements from our bookkeeper or accountant. And if we don't get financial statements from our bookkeeper or an accountant on a regular monthly basis, we're going to start. And then we're going to review every quarter our performance for the quarter, but then we're going to reestablish and revise our forecast for the rest of the year and identify the priorities, the key actions, the key objectives for the quarter the changes that need to be implemented within the business to help it further and drive towards that destination that we established when we did our annual review. During that annual review process every year, we're going to, of course, look at the performance of the year. We're going to help evaluate whether we did a good job working on the strategic objectives that we set for each quarter. But we're also going to make sure that we have that clarity of that destination that we're working towards, a real understanding of what the driving force behind our business is and the destination that we're hoping to get to and how we're going to get there and what customers are going to help us work towards that destination. And we're going to continue this cycle going forward. Again, we're going to start with this review of the current situation so that we can create this comprehensive assessment of the reality of the business today so that we can identify the right roles and responsibilities and make sure that the right people are in the right roles and responsibilities, have the right roles and responsibilities that are measurable, that roll up to be able to predict the financial performance of the business so that we can create a clear, simple, but actionable plan to drive the business towards its success. To help further that, then we got to build the maps. We got to build those journey maps for the people working in the business so that we understand what's creating the employee experience, so we can improve the employee experience, improve engagement, reduce turnover, reduce the costs associated with turnover, improve productivity, reduce the unnecessary waste that happens from unengaged employees. And then we're going to do the same thing for our product map. We're going to look at every step of our customer's journey, how we're doing our marketing, our sales, our operations, our collections, every aspect of it, and make sure that it's optimized to really maximize value for our customers so that we're making our customers happy, so that we're making our customers happier every day, so they stick around longer, so we reduce customer churn, we make it easier for the marketing and sales team to get new leads and convert those leads into more customers. And then we're going to continue this review cycle. We're going to set the business up for success so that it can continuously use those mirrors that we've built, following that navigation system that we built, driving towards a clear destination. So the person who had been driving it as the only primary driver can now have the ability to maybe let somebody else drive for a little while. If you know a business that wants to create that better system, wants to make sure they're using their mirrors, wants to build that navigation system, and wants to create that clear destination for the business, and that business happens to be located in this wonderful city that I've called home for 20 years in the Guelph, Kitchener-Waterloo region, and they've been in business for more than 2 years, I'd love to be introduced to them. Better yet, if they've already grown to 20 to 200 employees, because that's where I'm going to be able to have the most positive impact in that size of business to help them continue the path forward. But most importantly, I'm looking for somebody who does have a growth mindset, who wants to make that vehicle that is their business that much better, that they know that as the CEO of their business, if that's the case, that change does equal opportunity, that change does equal opportunity. If you know somebody like that who wants to create that better vehicle that can be driven by other people in the business, hopefully even almost make a self-driving one, then please introduce them to me so I can help them unlock the full potential value of their business. Because a goal without a plan is just a wish. Thank you.